Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the regular scheduled meeting of the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners, August 22, 2023. We're going to open up with the pledge led by Commissioner McCord, followed with the invocation by Commissioner Truman Tinsley. Please join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we're here today to ask your blessings and guidance in the performance of our duties as elected officials. We pray for strength, love, knowledge, and understanding. Help us to recognize and solve the problems that are presented and make our solutions fair and just for the best interest of everyone. Help us to overcome our shortcomings and keep us united as a team to work for the betterment of the city and its people. We pray in your name. Amen. Amen. Thank you all for being here tonight. First item is to approve the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda? Mr. Brock with the motion. Second by Mr. Tinsley. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 5-0. Is Ms. Flowers on by chance? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Are you going to vote in affirmative in the action tonight, or are you going to listen in?
No, I'm not voting. I'm just attending.
Thank you, Ms. Flowers. Under presentations and delegations, recognize Angela Thompson, budget analysis as the July 2023 Strongest Learning Chain Award recipient. Senior Executive Assistant Susan Bartholomew will address.
Good evening. I don't want to miss anything that I wrote when I nominated Angela, so I'm gonna read it, and it's not long. Angela Thompson has been an integral part of this city for close to 30 years, and her institutional knowledge is invaluable. With regard to the budget process, Angela spends countless hours working with the city manager and department directors to create a fair and balanced budget for the city. Her attention to detail and drive for perfection benefit all the employees and the citizens of the city of Griffin. Angela is cognizant of the need for transparency, and she is conscientious with the taxpayers' money. I can't think of a more deserving person to be the strongest link for this month than Angela Thompson.
Would you like to give a speech, Angela?
I just want to say thank you. I do what I do for all of y'all, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that.
Thank you, Angela. We're truly blessed to have you as part of the City of Griffin family. Thank you. Thank you, Susan, for not.
Yes, sir.
Right, under presentation, delegations, we have a presentation of the Irish City Golf Classic Charity Funds in the amount of $9,161.04 to Georgia Baptist Children's Home and Family Ministry. Have representatives made it here yet? Yeah. You're here? Wonderful. Can you please come forward? And Public Works Director Mariza Eller and Assistant Golf Shop Manager Laura Adams will address.
Good evening.
Good evening. That's a big check. All right.
Okay. All right. Well, some of you may or may not know about the Irish City Golf Classic. It was an idea that started in 2021. And it came to life in 2022. Last year, we were able to raise $6,000 for the Georgia Baptist Children's Home. And thanks to all the, sorry, I just ran in here. Thanks to all the Griffin City staff, volunteers, players, sponsors from all over the community, and y'all, we're able to donate $9,161.04 to the Georgia Baptist Children's Home this year. Thank you for coming, Mr. Rhodes. Would you like to say anything?
No, just want to say thank you very much for all your generosity and how you supported the Georgia Baptist Children's Home through the years. We really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Before you run away, let's get a picture. Can you bring the rest of the golf and public works up? All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I've had the privilege of not winning this golf tournament the last 2 years, but I've had a whole lot of fun. It's probably one of the best golf tournaments that around, and want to encourage everybody to come join us in the future. Moving now into citizen comments. At this time, the mayor opens the floor to comments from the audience. Comments should relate to a specific agenda item not listed on the agenda for a public hearing or to a concern within the jurisdiction of the city. Commission meetings serve the purpose of conducting city business and are not a forum for unlimited expression of opinion. The mayor reserves the right to limit comments to matters germane to city business and may refer speakers to the city manager or other staff for resolution. With that being said, is there anybody on my left side like to come forward? Mr. Sullivan, if you could please come up, state your name and address for the record.
Robert Sullins, resided at 1133 Pine Valley Road since 1996, 27 years. I think this is my 5th or 6th time to speak to y'all about sewage overflow problems in my yard. Once again, it reared its ugly head this weekend. This time it did not come from my property. It came from the property currently owned by GeoSam. Their sewer, I believe, has been overflowing probably since April 1st. I finally saw it flowing onto my yard this Friday. I couldn't bring the smell with y'all, but I bought some bottles in case you want to smell it. This is upstream from the overflow. This is what you want a creek to look like. Nice, clear water. This is what was flowing into my backyard, all through my backyard into the creek. Y'all are welcome to open it and smell it and see what I've been living with for 2 weeks. This is the downstream of Potato Creek, which is going all the way down past the treatment plant. I see people fish in this creek, take fish out of it. I just don't know what to do. I keep coming to y'all, begging y'all to stop putting more houses on these sewage lines. Right now, we've got planned for 250 more households to be put onto these sewage lines. What do I do? I've lived here 27 years, can't enjoy my property. I'm sure my property value's been affected. The solution to the 3 manholes in my yard now is to bolt them down. So 2 of the manholes are bolted down. That water's going to go somewhere, hopefully not in my basement. But that's the solution now. I would ask y'all to please put a moratorium on any new building permits on these sewage lines. Thank you.
Is there anybody else on my left side like to come forward? Board? Anybody on my left side? Is there anybody on my right side like to come forward? Board? Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Tina Marie Marston. I live at 226 Kentucky Avenue in Griffin. So I'm here today to file a complaint in regards to the life support customer distinction with Griffin Utilities. And I'm sorry, my breathing is a little short today, so I may have to pace myself. I previously mentioned at other meetings that I ran into Mayor Holberg at the local emergency management office in Griffin on the third day following the tornadoes in January of 2023. At that time, Mayor Holberg explained that if we had 200 residents without power versus 2 or 3 people that required power to live, that his concern was the larger group. That's when you told me, Mayor Holberg, that as a power-dependent customer, that I'm not a priority. And I kind of could understand that to a point, but my concern then, and my concern that still remains, is if you have 2 groups, so 200 customers that are without power, but you have 5 power-dependent customers in this group and no power-dependent customers in another group, without maintaining a registry of your power-dependent customers, how do you decide which group of 200 to restore power to first? So on that 6th day following the tornadoes, my power was restored, but it went back out on the 7th day. And I called customer service to report that new outage. So I agree with Commissioner Rodney McCord, who complimented the Griffin Utilities automated system at the last commissioner meeting. It was that same system that made me aware that my account had a life support customer distinction. When I called customer service to report the new outage, I heard this message.
Hello, and thank you for calling the City of Griffin. To report an electric outage, press 1 for a... To report an electric outage, press 1 for... We show your service location as 226 Kentucky Avenue, Apartment A. If this is correct, press 1. Otherwise, we do see from the status of your account that you are a life support customer.
That message remains on the automated system to this day, August 22nd, 2023. However, I emailed Griffin Utilities Customer Service Manager Rita Bagwell on July 24th, 2023, asking her to confirm Griffin Utilities life support customer distinction because it appeared that this was meticulously put into place when numerous state and federal agencies such as FEMA were in Griffin assisting with the relief efforts. I received responses from Griffin Utilities Director Jennifer Freeman and Griffin City Manager Jessica O'Connor, who copied this Board of Commissioners in her email. Both responses stated there is no classification of life support customer in the City of Griffin, Griffin Power Policy and Procedure Manual, nor the City of Griffin Customer Service Manual. The city manager also stated the city does not have a life support customer distinction. This Board of Commissioners is the local governing body responsible for the laws established for Griffin Utilities. Throughout this chain of emails, at no time did anyone on this Board of Commissioners even ask where I received this information. There seems to be a common purpose observed with every electric company that I've researched with a life support customer distinction. That common purpose, their life support customer distinction, is a registry of their power-dependent customers. It would appear that somebody within the City of Griffin or Griffin Utilities is aware that this is vital, necessary, or even required. Otherwise, there would have been no need to make such an incremental change to the automated system, which now appears to recognize those accounts that are documented power-dependent customers and giving them a life support customer distinction. Resolutions to be addressed not only to myself, but to the community at large. Number 1, address why was no one on this Board of Commissioners, the city manager, Griffin Utilities Director, Griffin Utilities Customer Service Manager, the city attorney, or the city staff attorney aware of Griffin Utilities life support customer distinction. Number 2, address why was the life support customer distinction only acknowledged or implemented following the tornadoes in 2023. Number 3, properly maintain a registry of Griffin Utilities life support customers. Number 4, make the public aware of the life support customer distinction so that eligible customers may submit the required documentation for their accounts to be flagged properly. Number 5, consider life support customers during the restoration of power decision-making process. And number 6, consider life support customers and potential postponements and disconnections covered under health of a resident during rate negotiations with electric providers such as MEAC Power. And I just want to add, I've been told by numerous people throughout this community that I'm challenging you in a way that you're not used to being challenged. I don't want to challenge you. That's the last thing I want to do. When I first sent that email just asking just a request to meet, just so we can talk about policies and practices that should be put in place to protect this sector of the community like myself who needs power to live, I just wanted to meet, to review the policies that you have because they're not adequate. I shouldn't have to be fighting. I should be focused on living. I'm a patient advocate on the local, state, national, and international level. I am one of the longest living LVAD patients in this entire state. I should not have to challenge my local government. We should be working together to make sure we have policies in place and that we're actually enforcing and practicing those policies to protect power-dependent customers like myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Is there anybody else on my right side like to come to the board? Anybody else on my right side? Yes, ma'am. Good evening, welcome. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
It's Rose Curtis, 1005 Clayton Street in Griffin, Georgia.
Welcome, Ms. Curtis.
I'm here on the behalf of Sergeant Williams. Standing in the gap again for yet another Black police officer. First, Captain Daniels, now Sergeant Williams. Only because he decided, Sergeant Williams, decided to take a stand for the community in which he polices. He did not threaten the city manager. Never have and never will. But I do know who threatened who. I know the ex-chief of police threatened one of the local reporters in Griffin. I know the ex-chief of police threatened a reporter in Jonesboro, Arkansas. But he's still here on payroll. And I've heard that he has been asked to remain. But yet, you don't want to give this young man a chance, a family man, an upstanding officer. And I'm not taking nothing away from other officers or nothing like that, but he's a good guy. He saw the needs of the community, and he took a stand. He didn't want to be involved in all of this. When I see a Black child or somebody, they got to run and stuff. I'm so sick and tired of this board dividing the citizen because of race. Where it's over policing on one side of town, high utility bills on one side. I'm sick and tired of it. Do the right thing. He did not threaten Miss O'Connor. You heard it, I heard it. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Just do the right thing. Do the right thing when it comes to Sergeant Williams and his family. Do the right thing when it comes to Captain Daniels. And if you cannot do the right thing for any citizen in the city of Griffin, be it Black or white, then you leave this city.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Is there anybody else like to come before the board? Good evening, Mr. Bell. If you please state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Reverend Wendell D. Bell, Senior, 416 Washington Street, Griffin, Georgia, 30223. And I'm up here on behalf of Sergeant Williams. Sergeant Williams is a great man, and he's an honest man. And just like Ms. Curtis said, we have something on this board that just won't do right. And I'm speaking to everyone on the board because now we don't see the police riding and waving the kids, and it's dangerous, real dangerous on my side of town. But the only thing right now the police are trying to do is trying to catch dope dealers. We ought to catch some of these murders and things that people have done to this city. If this city was straightened up, because we are moving, we as Americans in this city, we are moving backward. But now it's time to move forward. And this young man was doing a great deal of job because he believed, like a serviceman. Whoever come up need to be in charge, be made private up to a corner. Who in line? But we're looking over this. And the city police supposed to be trained like the military, but they acting like kids. And I am tired, sick and tired. And I asked you, will y'all please let that young man stay on so he can raise his family? Because I was standing right beside him, he said nothing, he did nothing. And whoever told that he did is telling a lie. And I can back that lie up. Thank y'all.
Good evening. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Ray Harps Muhammad. My address is 1261 North Cherokee Avenue. I come to address the Board of Commissioners on a couple of issues. One, of course, as relates to Sergeant Williams and the way that I believe, and not only I, but way I believe, way we, the city, particularly our community, believe that he is being targeted. I think that it's just absolutely extreme methods that the city managers is deploying as relates to trying to discipline an individual that exercises constitutional right. I'm trying to understand what precedent are we setting? That here's an individual who is off, who is not on duty, did not show up in a police uniform, was not representing the city of Griffin PD, did not come to one meeting that I called. I'm the one that's responsible for the protest. Did not come to one meeting. I didn't have one phone call conversation. There was no consultation with Sergeant Williams. Sergeant Williams decided that there was an issue that needed his addressing. And he decided that I would go peacefully like we did and demonstrate, because we was wanting the city to look at our brother Homer Daniel as police chief. Now, the issue that we're having with all of this, Mr. Mayor, is the temperament of the city manager. I know on July the 5th, when Imam Shahir BR called her office 20 times to speak with her as we was in the streets, to speak to her, to see if she would have a conversation with us. Not one time did City Manager O'Connor come to the phone. Her secretary, whomever answered the phone, kept saying that she was busy at that moment. It was beginning to escalate. That's when we began to start shouting and chanting, "Bring Jessica out, bring Jessica out." And then at that particular point, I interjected so we can have a conversation with her. At no point did I nor the sergeant threaten the life of the city manager. I don't know where she or anyone else is getting that ridiculous mess that she would threaten. The other piece to this right here is that when we met with her, her temperament then was aggressive. Her temperament was aggressive, and I found it to be very offensive. And then on last Wednesday, when we was to come and meet and represent based on her letter that she sent to Sergeant Williams, that he could bring witnesses that was there at that event. She did not at that point put a number on how many witnesses he could bring. Everyone that showed up to her office witnessed what took place and was absolutely there. She tried to get what she asked Sergeant Williams to remember who was out there during the protest when Sergeant Williams could not even recall and did not know any of us, I don't think. And then she said that the only ones, the names that could speak and represent him on his behalf was the 4 names that he could remember. That is totally disingenuous to the way the letter that she wrote. I brought that to her attention, and she said that's just the way it was going to be. The way she came out and presented herself and that negative, her temperament is not professional enough to be in the seat one. And then the black constituents who was over there, who was there to represent our brother, she came out there in a nasty, contentious attitude as if that's her building. And as a matter of fact, she wanted to put us out that building, and I let her know that building did not belong to her. We was not going anywhere. And as you saw what the media did, when the media wanted to get the side of the city manager that represents the city of Griffin, she don't represent herself. She represents 24,008 people that live in this city. So her disposition, her temperament, her aura, and all of that should be reflective of one of the highest level of professionalism. She slams the door and tells the media no, so now the whole world, millions of people, are seeing how the city manager, conducts herself in an official capacity. She was on her job. She was in her office. Unlike Jared was not at work. He was not in a uniform. He was not representing the city, but he's being disciplined. You understand? He has a negative image on the city because of what he did, but millions of people saw her negative disposition. You understand? Showed out on the news. So I asked her and you, I asked y'all who are her boss, then you hold the same window and same responsibility to her as she's trying to hold to him. I think it's totally unfair for her to do that. I think it's totally unfair, and it sends a wrong message to 56% black population in this city that if a person working for the city of Griffin is off and decide to protest, I know Dr. King and all of the civil rights movement are turning over in their grave at this foolishness. And I cannot believe that we are still allowing her to go through the process of disciplining a man who exercises constitutional right to peaceful assembly. We did not destroy anything. We did not tear up any cars to the police. We didn't do any of that. But I'm telling you, the atmosphere is brewing. It's brewing. So I want to send and I'm done on this. Send a message to the city. Send a message to the police department. We are not going to allow, hear me very carefully, we're not going to allow Jairus Williams to be terminated. We're just not going to allow that. And if the city decide that they want to make that decision to do that, then the city will have to be dealt with will have to be faced with the repercussions of their decisions. And I'm done on that.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Is there anybody else like to come before the board? Okay. Moving into public hearing. Keep this one straight here. All right, we have a new format for public hearing. So if you need to speak for or against any of the 3 items that are coming up, we have sign-up sheets over here on the orange, green, and yellow sheets based on what the public hearing matter coming up is
Public hearings are conducted to allow public comments on specific advertised issues such as rezoning ordinances, policy development, operating budgets, and other legislative actions to be considered by the City Commission. For public hearings related to zoning, including amendments to the Unified Development Code or quasi-judicial decisions as defined in Article 4 of the UDC, all persons who wish to address the Board of Commissioners during the public hearing must sign up via the sign-in sheet, providing their name and address and whether they are for or against proposed rezoning or quasi-judicial decision. So first item is readoption of the 2007 Fairmont Neighborhood Redevelopment Plan. At this time, the Board of Commissioners will conduct a public hearing for the agenda item 3 as noticed in the agenda as follows. Receive comments regarding the redevelopment of the 2007 Fairmont Urban Redevelopment Plan. Printed copies of the adopted standards governing the exercise applicable to the aforementioned application, factors for consideration, and procedures governing the hearing are available to the public. Speakers are responsible for establishing a record through a presentation of facts and supporting documentation or other evidence for consideration by the board and for review on appeal if applicable. Director of Planning and Development, Director Chad Jacobs will address presenting the staff report in the application on behalf of the city. A timer will be set for 10 minutes, but staff's time may be extended provided that equal time will be given to the opponents during this hearing. Mr. Jacobs, welcome, sir. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What you have before you is a readoption of the existing Fairmont Urban Redevelopment Plan. This plan was last adopted in 2007. Currently, what you have going on right now, the Griffin's Housing Authority, along with Collaborative Housing Solution, plans to submit a 4% scattered site low-income housing tax credit application in October for 2 multifamily residential projects within the Fairmont neighborhood area.
Mr. Jacobs, if you could step into the mic a little bit, gentlemen, isn't
I'm sorry?
speaking to the mic. Speaking a little bit
Yes.
louder.
Can y'all hear me now?
Is that better?
Can y'all hear me? Hello?
Let's go.
Test, test. Hello? I'll speak up. Oh, there we go. All right. So again, this is for a 4% scattered site housing, low-income housing tax credit application that'll be submitted in October with the Griffin Housing Authority along with Collaborative Housing Solutions for 2 multifamily residential projects within the Fairmont neighborhood area. If y'all remember, back in last month, on July 25th, there was zoning amendments that were granted for these 2 projects that evening. The redevelopment plan itself is worth 5 to 7 points on the tax credit application with DCA, but it must be adopted within the last 10 years. As I indicated, this was last adopted in 2007. So staff will update the plan much like we did for the downtown redevelopment plan. If you all remember, we did this back in March of 2022 for a tax credit application as well, where we readopted the existing plan and then we updated that plan. So once we complete the comprehensive plan that we're currently working on now, we'll look at to update this plan as well. So staff is recommending approval of this readoption.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. So at this time, we will call for any other persons who have signed up, which they have not, in favor of the application. So there's no one to speak for. And also at this time, we will call persons who have signed up to speak in the opposition application, and no one has signed up for opposition. So at this time, comments and discussion by board, if any, will be reserved until the item is called for consideration. However, does anyone from the board have any questions for staff or speakers? And I've got one question. In the section under the Thomas and Mill Village section, all the property addresses have lines struck through them.
Yes, sir.
Is that because they've already remediated those substandard effects on those, or?
I can't comment. I'll need to go back and double check on that. That's a possibility, but I'd have to research that.
So there's like a whole set of different addresses.
Yes, sir.
In that Thomas and Mill, and each one of them has lines struck.
Yeah. Obviously, given the age that's on the plan, there's large number of properties that have been, dealt with respect to nuisance abatement. So I would feel more comfortable going back and double checking those.
Do board members have any questions?
So this plan, back in 2007, it covered a much larger area of an overall scope, and then it broken down into two sections where there's the Fairmont portion, and there's the Thompson Mill portion as well. So it covered both under the initial 2007, but there is so like the first portion of it is for Fairmont, then the second half of it's for the Thompson Mills. Yes, ma'am.
All right. This concludes the hearing agenda for item number 3. Item 3 is a variance for minimum lot width of 1524 Highway 16 West. I'm sorry, item 4, thank you, sir. This time, the Board of Commissioners will conduct a public hearing for the agenda. Item number 4, as noticed in the agenda as follows: receive comments regarding a variance to reduce the minimum lot width within planned commercial development at 1524 Highway 16 West of the Kroger Company. Printed copies of the adopted standards of governing and exercise applicable to the aforementioned applications, factors for consideration, and procedures governing the hearing are available to the public. Speakers are responsible for establishing the record through the presentation of facts and supporting documentations or other evidence for consideration by the board and for review on appeal if applicable. At this time, Director of Planning and Development, Chad Jacobs, will address.
The applicant, Nate Fuss, who's with Bowler Engineering, Georgia LLC, is operating on behalf of both Mavis Tire and the Kroger Company. They are requesting a variance from Article 7, Section 714D and J, which requires a minimum lot width of 100 feet within the PCD Planned Commercial Development District. Kroger is proposing to sell a .641 acre tract for the development of a new commercial retail service space in the northeast portion of the parking lot. The location of the building is on the preliminary site plan designed in 2019 for the Kroger store. A copy of that was provided within the documentation that was submitted with the information that y'all have. Mavis Tire will own both the new building and the land. A variance is necessary to reduce the physical requirement of lot width since the new parcel will not front a public street. If you remember, we did a similar variance request for the portion that was a development that was going to go immediately adjacent to the Kroger. This was done a few months ago. Staff finds such conditions that are peculiar to this piece of property involved, as the existing development is a group development shopping complex. We are recommending conditional approval of the variance request at 1524 Highway 16 West, submitted by Mr. Fuss on behalf of Mavis Tire, to reduce the minimum lot width of 100 feet in PCD to 0 feet, finding the applicant has satisfied the requirements for a variance by clear and convincing evidence with the following conditions: that A, the new building shall be developed with the exterior elevations and building materials which substantially match the adjacent existing Kroger store at 1524 Highway 16 West. Planning and Development staff shall approve the elevations prior to issuance of a building permit. And finally, B, development agreement between Kroger and new owners shall be recorded and copy provided to Planning and Development prior to issuance of a building permit.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
At this time, we will call persons who have signed up to speak in favor of the applicant's applications, beginning with the applicant. Those in favor of the application will collectively have 10 minutes to speak, but the applicant is permitted to utilize all 10 minutes or to reserve time for rebuttal. Any remaining time will be divided among anyone else who has signed up to speak in favor of this application. So at this time, we have Mr. Nathan Fuss of 211 Perimeter Center, Parkway Northeast, Atlanta, Georgia, 30346. So welcome, sir. Thank you for your testimony.
Welcome. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Appreciate your time this evening. My name is Nathan Fuss. I'm on behalf of Bowler Engineering and Mavis, my client, and Kroger, the shopping center owner. As Mr. Jacobs said, looking to develop the corner parking lot of the Kroger with a 5,000 square foot Mavis Tires and Brake facility. The building will have 6 bays. it'll be facing the western side of the site. When you come in off of Highway 16, it'll be on that corner there before you get to the Kroger. And if you take that road to Lowe's, you'll see the back of the proposed building. We're amendable to the two conditions with regards to the brick and providing the development agreement. As Mr. Jacobs said, this property will not front the road, so we will have an access easement agreement in place with Kroger to access the development. Happy to answer any questions that y'all may have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
At this time, we will call persons who have signed up to speak in opposition to the application, and we do not have any for that. So going into comments and discussion by the board, if any, will be reserved until the item is called for consideration. However, does anyone from the board have any questions for staff, the applicant, or the speakers at this time? Okay. At this time, the Board of Commissioners will conduct a public hearing for agenda item number 5, as noticed in the agenda as follows. For disclosure, the applicant, Brian Davis, made a $500 contribution to my 2019 election campaign, as well as representing him in insurance matters on other business ventures. At this time, the Board of Commissioners will conduct a public hearing for agenda number 5, as noticed in the agenda as follows. Receive comments regarding a request for a special use permit for a personal care home in planned commercial development, PCD, for property located at 217 South 13th Street. Printed copies of the adopted standards governing the exercise applicable to the aforementioned applications, factors for consideration, and procedures governing the hearing are available to the public. Speakers are responsible for establishing the record through the presentation of facts and supporting documentation or other evidence for consideration by the board and for review of the appeal if applicable. At this time, Director of Planning and Development, Director Chad Jacobs will address. Thank you, sir.
Okay. BDR Griffin Commercial Investments LLC is seeking approval of a special use permit for a personal care home at 217 South 13th Street. The owner proposes this personal care home as a project for veterans. A special use permit is necessary for this type of facility pursuant to the special use requirements adopted by this board in February of 2023. So this is the first one that's coming before y'all under the new guidelines that was adopted in February. This parcel is within the planned commercial development zoning district, and it's located in what staff considers to be a residential commercial transitional corridor located between West Taylor and West Popular Streets. If you remember, we do get oftentimes special use requests that come before y'all in these areas of structures that kind of move back and forth between residential and commercial, kind of how the market persists. Due to the size of the proposed location of the 2,018 square foot structure, only 6 residents are allowed pursuant to Section 503E. The applicant plans to add monitored fire alarms and sprinkler systems to the structure as well. Staff has determined that all other requirements have and or will be met with respect to the building, fire, and parking requirements. Staff is recommending approval of the special use permit submitted by BDR Griffin Commercial Investments LLC to allow for a special use permit for a personal care home at 217 South 13th Street. At their meeting, last night, the Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval as well by a vote of 5-0. Thank you.
At this time, we will call persons who have signed up to speak in favor of the applications, beginning with the applicant. Those in favor of the applications will collectively have 10 minutes to speak, but the applicant is permitted to utilize all 10 minutes or to reserve time for rebuttal. The remaining time will be divided among anyone else who has signed up to speak in favor of the application. So at this time, the applicant, Brian Davis, 333 Old Rail Road, Bloomingdale, Georgia, 31302. Welcome, sir.
Good evening. My name is Brian Davis, and I'm one of the owners of 217 South 13th Street. As Mr. Jacobs stated, we are planning to have the property a special use permit for a personal care home and the target audience for that personal care homes will be veterans. It will have 6 private bedrooms for those individuals, and the building is being retrofitted for safety with a monitored fire alarm and a sprinkler system, and also updated windows because the windows are a little bit older and don't open right now. So we're going to be changing all those out as well. But I just wanted to say I appreciate you taking the time tonight to consider this, and we'd be glad to answer any questions if you have them for me.
Thank you very much. At this time, we will call persons who have signed up to speak in opposition to the application, and we do not have anybody that's signed up in opposition. The comments and discussion by the board, if any, will be reserved until the item is called for consideration. However, does anyone from the board have any questions for staff, the applicant, or the speakers at this time? This concludes public hearing agendas for 3, 4, and 5. Moving into the consent agenda, we have items 6, 7, 8, and 9. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as a whole? Mr. Tinsley with a motion, second by Mr. Brock. All in favor of the consent agenda, please signal by raising your hand. 5-0. Moving into the regular scheduled meeting. On item 10, consider the minutes of the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners regular meeting for August 8th. We have a motion to approve. Mr. Tinsley with a motion. Do we have a second? Mrs. Ward with a second. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 5-0. Item 11 is consider a resolution to readopt the 2007 Fairmont Urban Redevelopment Plan. Mrs. Ward with a motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Tinsley with a second. All in favor of the resolution, please signal by raising your hand. 5-0. Item 12 is consider a variance to reduce the minimum lot width within planned commercial development, PCD, at 1524 Highway 16 West for the Kroger Company, and that's with the 2 conditions. Do we have a motion to approve the conditions? Mr. Tinsley with a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Mrs. Ward with a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 5-0. Item 13 is consider a request for a special use permit for personal care home in planned commercial development, PCD, for property located at 217 South 13th Street. With motion approved. Mr. Brock with a motion. With a second. Second by Mr. Tinsley. Any discussion? All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 5-0. Item 14 is consider a resolution naming Deborah Manning Gilbert, Finance Director, Amanda Carmichael, Comptroller, and Christina Ortiz, account 4, as individuals authorized to deposit and/or withdraw funds from the local government investment pool on behalf of the City of Griffin, and authorize the mayor to execute said resolution. The motion to approve. Mr. Tinsley with a motion, second by Commissioner McCord. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 5-0. Item 15 is consider on first reading ordinance amending Chapter 74, Solid Waste Code of Griffin, Article 2, Handling, Storage, and Collection, and Article 6, Billing and Enforcement, for the purpose of prohibiting the disposal or placement of lithium-ion batteries in residential or commercial solid waste, the city landfill, or the city transfer station. Mrs. Ward with a motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Brock with a second. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 5-0. Item 16 is consider a contract with on-site paving, seal coating, and maintenance low bidder in the amount of $895,682.74 for milling and resurfacing for year 2 of T-Splosh roof paving. The motion to approve the contract. This board with a motion, second by Mr. Tinsley. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 5-0. And item 17 is consider amendment to the intergovernmental contract for conducting of municipal elections between the City of Griffin, Georgia, and Spalding County, Georgia. This board with a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Tinsley.
All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 5-0. That's our agenda for now. City manager's report.
Tomorrow, we will be at the Georgia Downtown Association Conference in Keaton, so I will leave a little bit after lunch to head there. Also, I need a date from all of you, several dates for the biannual meeting with the Spalding County Water and Sewerage Facility Authority. That is required by our contracts. If you haven't been able to go back and fill out that calendar, please do so and provide as many dates as you can. Or if you want to get with me separately, I can just write them down and get that over to them, but we need to get that scheduled as soon as possible. Those dates begin next Monday, so the longer we wait, the more dates we lose. Also, as we do every year, the Georgia Municipal Association will hold fall listening sessions by district. We're in District 4, which means our listening session will be October 5th in Noonan, from 11 to 1 at Noonan Utilities. If you would like to attend, please let Ms. Bartholomew or myself know so we can register you, because they will provide lunch, so we do need to RSVP for that. And then also wanted to update you on Congressman Ferguson's visit yesterday. I thought it was a very productive visit at Harry Simmons Water Treatment Plant. So again, thank you to Mike Melton for participating with the AWWA and sort of getting us on the radar. Congressman Ferguson had no idea how big our system was and how much water we provided regionally. So I think that was eye-opening for him, and to walk through a 1929 plant with 4 of those pumps still looking like they did in 1929 really sort of is impressive to see. And then lastly, I did have an email late this afternoon from the public assistance manager for GEMA, and she says that they are supposed to be picking up checks from the Office of Planning and Budget tomorrow, and she hopes that some of those are going to be ours. So I hope that we will have several $1 million coming back to the city as quickly as tomorrow in reimbursements from FEMA. So that will be a big deal, and as soon as I know for sure, I will let you all know as well. And then lastly, today is my daughter's 6th birthday, so happy birthday to me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Whalen? Mr. Rock? Mr. Ward? Excellent work. Mr. Griffin? I just want to thank staff and everybody who's looking out. We appreciate your comments, and we will take it to heart and see what we can do. Thank you very much. Motion to adjourn. We have Mr. Tinsley, motion, second by Mr. Ward.